Hey guys, it's 007 here, and today I want to talk about the three hot topic points when it comes to the patch for Air Realistic. I want to cover the MiG-29, the F-16, and the Tornado, and we'll be doing those in that order. So first, I'd like to cover the MiG-29. This aircraft is going to do tremendous amounts for Russia right now. Currently, the model is not balanced when it comes to its performance. The aircraft's running past like Mach 1.19, which is I think it's actually more than that. I'm pretty sure. But the basically what I'm saying is like it's going to 1,500 kilometers an hour with the stops not being held back. Obviously, pretty inaccurate. So that's going to be taken care of. But the MiG-29 is going to give it the parity to the Russians that I've been talking to a lot of people about. A lot of people have been driving about the complaint about the F-14 and the fact that there's nothing really to counter it. The MiG-29, in my opinion, is the perfect counter, or at least the perfect opposite to the F-14 at least. With the MiG-29, we don't have the BVR capability that the F-14 does, and that's perfectly acceptable. I knew that going from the start. The MiG-29 is not the answer to the BVR engagement with the F-14, but it is the close range engagement that makes the MiG-29 so lethal. The fact that this thing can carry R-73 Archers, which, like I said, that's a major deal. That missile changes the game when it comes to its ability to manipulate close-in dogfighting. And they talked about what the quality of the missiles will be in the dev stream. They said that if you're flaring, you're pretty much kind of safe. I'd also recommend you got to jam the WES, which, like I said, video coming for that. It'll definitely be a very critical video at this point, talking about stuff like the MiG-29. So the coal is definitely lit underneath that boiler. R-73 is going to give a tremendous edge to the close-in dogfight. MiG-29s that close the distance with aircraft like the F-14 are going to be very, very lethal, and that's going to be a good thing. I think the gun on the MiG-29 is really nice. I like the fact that we're upping it to a 30 mil, getting away from the dumb 23 mils that the MiG-21s have been using. I really hate that gun. I know some people think it's one of the best guns in the game. I like to strongly disagree, but beyond the point, it's got a lot of options going for it. Additionally, for ground attack going the other way, so not bad. I mean, I wouldn't use it in ground forces. That's definitely a MiG-27's job or a Sukhoi 25, but still, it's a good multi-role capable aircraft should the mission require it in air realistic or ground realistic. So we'll step aside from that. I will have probably a video out to the side of the MiG-29 in action. You can see its maneuverability, obviously a hot topic being, MiG-29, can it Cobra and all that. So I'll let the other video do the talking for that one. Stepping aside, we'll go to the F-16. This is a big one here. F-16 solves a lot of problems for countries in the game. Countries like China, Israel, obviously the United States doesn't really have to worry about this kind of stuff, but I'd like to see Italy. I don't know what the timeline would be for that one. The variation of the A model that they are getting or eventually getting is a little bit stronger than the others. So it's tough to say what the story will be. But I would definitely see Italy on the road to getting an F-16 in the caliber field that we're currently looking at right now. People will sit there and basically douse the A model F-16 when comparing it to the F-16C. I wouldn't laugh at the F-16A at any point. This plane has a ridiculous amount of thrust available to it. And the weapon array that it has, I think AGM-65, is fine. I do find a problem, though, with the AGM-65s that are not the Delta model with the thermals. So I'm a little hesitant on that whole ordeal, but Mavericks are good. So this thing definitely has, I think at least it's going to have its presence marked in the squadron battles. It's going to be a very dominant air superiority fighter. It's going to have a lot of things at its advantage. Pulse Doppler, AIM-9Ls, can do ground attack, even smart ground attack. It's got a lot going for it. So squadron battle wise, this thing's going to pop off. But The thing that I'd like to highlight between the F-16 and the MiG-29 is not since we had the patch where the F4 Phantom, I don't know if I could say that. I'd say probably since the F100 and the Mig-19 were added to the game. That's the level of parity we're going to see here. That the F-16 and the Mig-29, both being added to the game, these two aircraft are going to be very good equal opposites to each other. Now, I'd probably lean on the fence and tell you that the F-16 is going to be the better plane, but that's purely through experience and DCS. And I generally would like to lean that way on the respects that I've seen the performance of the F-16 current versus the MiG-29. Now, I can't say final MiG-29 what it's going to end up on the scale, but I definitely think it's going to be a very equal matchup between the two aircraft comparatively to previous patches. I really do think that we're going to see some really good stuff with this. Like I said, parity will be good. F-14s will still be a factor. I think people should understand that. But the fact that we're going to see parity amongst countries like China and Israel, where they're going to have aircraft that are cutting edge fourth gen, at least in this respect, for the game, it's going to make a lot of nations sit on the same level, and we could probably see the matchmaker even out a little bit more between all the nations instead of U.S. being on both sides. Now, skimming to the side here, we'll talk about the Tornado. I do think that the Tornado, I'm really glad that they're adding Tornado, by the way. You should understand that. I think the guns will be a little funky. It's a little bit of a different, pace, like the angle of the guns and various other things. I think the fact that we're getting a variable swept wing aircraft or variable geometry aircraft for Britain at least could see this going into Germany, which I think that would help. Although I think that Germany should see a MiG-29, but I'm not familiar with the variants that Germany's MiG-29s were, so I might want to hold back on that comment, possibly. And then obviously Italy would have the possibility of gaining a Tornado as well, which that would definitely give them something to work with. I think that this aircraft is good for what it can do. I don't think it's going to be winning those close-in dogfights like the 29 and the F-16 will. So I would definitely caution you to temper your expectations when it comes to this plane. But I do think it's really good that they're adding it. It's going to give a little bit of a better edge at lower airspeeds. I'm not entirely sure about the fact that they're putting the ground attack variant pretty much in. So that's interesting. I would have been more along the lines of understanding if they did more of an air superiority version, since we have aircraft like the Harrier GR7 and the Buccaneer that are kind of leaning on that ground attack shovel pretty good. I know that was a complaint I voiced a long time ago about Britain not having enough ground attack, but I think this is a little excessive. But the fact that they have it, that's nice. The smart munitions, I'm not entirely certain about the amount being, competitive with the other BRs. Also, I think that really the most effective munitions you're going to see in play are going to be air-to-ground missiles, TV and laser-guided whenever it is possible. That's kind of why the Jaguar is a little bit more of a leading edge in that market, or at least at that BR. But AIM-9Ls on the platform, that's going to be really good. I still think that the GR7 is going to be the better dogfighter, and it's going to be very lethal this next patch, but it's going to be a little tricky to say because the F-16 might sit there and eat its lunch. Not to say the MiG-29 won't be there to pick up seconds. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the three covered up pretty well. I do like the fact that we're seeing another Harrier added to the game. They're doing a Sea Harrier at 10.7. I think that's probably very appropriate considering the fact that this thing will get 4 AIM-9Ls from what I've been told. So that should be nice. Hopefully we see that. I mean, squadron vehicles are a unique kind of breed, in my opinion. They kind of cheat the line when it comes to high BR premiums, generally because I've seen squadron play vehicles end up in better hands, or at least, the hands are more tempered when it comes to working with them. Although I wouldn't really recommend this aircraft to people that are beginning because they're going to get very frustrated with the lack of agility that the Harriers bring. Like they do bring VTOL. Yes, it's a niche, and it's definitely a gimmick in some respects. And it's nice in ground battles to have something like this if you want to try and capture a point. And circumstantially, a normal plane, couldn't really do it. So I think it goes both ways. I'm not entirely sure if this thing has countermeasures or not. It should hopefully have some, otherwise it'd be in big trouble. Yeah, it does. Okay. And 60, yeah. So basically, standard is basically like the GR3, so that's good. Yeah, should be good. Like I said, wouldn't entirely recommend you break your neck for it. I do think the radar is good though. Not many Harriers are running around with radar, but once again, like I said, I'll digress from that. Like I said, that's the 3 aircraft primarily covered. I've heard that the Swedes are in line to get the C model Viggen, so that should be good. Additionally, the French are heard to be getting a Mirage 2000 Delta, which should be nice. That should be a little bit more of a ground attack leaning aircraft. Should help entice people on that side of the tech tree to keep investing through things like the Mirage F1 CT. So that should be very nice there, although might be a little bit of a hop to get to the next round of aircraft. I know China's on the edge of getting their F-16. I'm sure that there's just some aspects of limitation that they're waiting on, but it is confirmed via the dev blog, so that will be nice. Beyond that, questions are being left around for what the status is for the F2 for the Japanese. Likely going to be on the F1 line. That should be a nice aircraft for providing them a good, nimble aircraft for ground battles that actually has, countermeasures in play. That's a big one for Japan. So I hope people are ready and hotly anticipating it when it comes. Not this patch though, because obviously that is currently off the radar. But I would be surprised if it didn't come the next patch, just for the sake of parity. Another thing that is being talked about is definitely the possibility of AMRAAM being added in the coming patch. Now that would be a very, very big deal. If AMRAAM is issued to various aircraft, and even if they give AIM-7F to some of the F-16s, that could really turn the BVR table upside down for the F-14, because now a lot of other nations are sitting there, and I'd argue the AIM-7F is a superior missile when it comes to BVR. People think the Phoenix is better, but I really don't think people understand what they're talking about when it comes to what the Phoenix does. The Phoenix is a nice missile that you can lob at someone to try and get them to do something funny while you come in behind with the AIM-7F, or I should say behind, but it's kind of cloak and dagger behind the wave of the Phoenixes. You can come in with an AIM-7F and really fine-tune the kill on the individual you're forcing on the defensive, or someone that's definitely out of place when it comes to launching their BVR attack back at you. So people should keep that in mind. Like I said, AIM-7F is really a good missile. People should not disregard it. If the F-16 gets it, that's definitely a plane you want to go after and get. I don't know what the quality of the radar would say. Pulse Doppler and normal is on the F-16, although I have no current understanding if the A model did run track wall scan, so that could be added later on, but I don't know. Like I said, that's beyond me. I have DCS operate the F-16C, so that's the only expertise I can shed on the F-16 when it comes to external knowledge to the game. But yeah, beyond that, I'd say that's a pretty good roundup for the top 3 aircraft, at least that are the top talking points of the patch. So definitely look forward to it, and definitely ask questions if you guys are curious about stuff. I can probably give you guys some good insight on what we're looking for. But yeah, beyond that, I'll see you guys later.